Dennis Spurling. That show, mama, you know what I'm talking about. Fuck him. Mama, that go, that man, he just talk a lot of shit. He be up late at night, tuning into all his hits. See my grandmama hate him.
Y'all need to give me the 40. Because I'm going to keep talking. Now, let's talk about jealousy. And let's talk about the real insidious reason why Latinos and Asians and Africans and everybody's being targeted, specifically Latinos. There's 65 million of them, something that they're very proud of, and they're doing well. Shout out to them. They're doing well, aren't they? You all are working hard and living the American dream. And this, along with projections that your population will grow exponentially and soon become the majority. Isn't that what they say? They're proud of it. And they've announced it out loud. Somebody say loud with it. They're growing. They got growing financial influence and political power. They're gaining. You all are living the dream, baby. But see, what you don't seem to understand is that the American dream was never meant to exist for non-whites, at least not in practice. And when you present yourself as a challenge to this white power structure, especially when you're not white, you're seen as a threat. It happened to the Jews. It happened to that. It's all of them had to deal with. And the truth is, you will never be fully accepted as white. When, shout out to Sage Talk Media, we need 3 more super chats. When white people look at you, Latino folk, many become jealous. And this jealousy fuels a narrative that they're inherently better and more deserving and entitled to dominance financially, socially, and politically. This pattern has always played out repeatedly throughout American history. Shout out to Nucleus. Take, for instance, some part of our history that you never learned and probably have no interest in learning. Red Summer. It was the summer of 1919 when racial tensions exploded across cities like Chicago, Washington, D.C., Elaine, Arkansas, and other Black communities that began to thrive economically. They owned businesses. They were buying land. They were building neighborhoods. And guess what happened? Shout out to real Billy Ray Valentine. White mobs, driven by jealousy and fear of Black prosperity, because we were living the American dream. They just attacked Black neighborhoods. They raped women. They pillaged. They burned. Everything had been built. They burned it down. They destroyed it. Their goal was to keep Black Americans beneath them economically and socially. Similarly, in the 1920s, Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was a thriving Black community with banks and shops and a sense of independence. But in 1921, a white mob, fueled by racial animus and economic jealousy, destroyed it in a brutal massacre, leaving hundreds of Black people unalive and Black wealth decimated throughout the 1950s and 60s. And yeah, Rosewood too. Another incident where white mobs came and destroyed what they saw as Black prosperity. And this is something that happened thousands of times throughout America. White jealousy. Look at what happened in the 1950s and 60s. Systematic policies like redlining and enacted by the Federal Housing Administration systematically prevented Black folks from obtaining mortgages and home ownership and basically locked us out of the middle class. In cities like Chicago, Detroit, New York, they saw Black people confined in the ghetto and limited economic opportunities. Meanwhile, the GI Bill, which helped white folks coming back from the war get homes and start businesses, was excluded for Black veterans who fought just as hard and were as noble. During that same time period, Hollywood and mass media flooded the Black communities with propaganda portraying Black men as pimps, drug addicts, and criminals, while neglecting positive role models, keeping in mind at that time, Black men and Black women were the most married group of people in America. It was in the upper 90s percentile. And this is how they're portraying us, as pimps and drug addicts and criminals. You know it was a concerted effort. So in the 1950s and 60s, what did we see? We saw a rise, or should I say the 1980s and 90s, we saw a rise of gangster rap, over-sexualized images of black women, and it further degraded the black male and female identity. Shout out to Sage Talk Media. Then you got the welfare policies like Section 8 that introduced in the 1960s and other social programs. While aimed at alleviating poverty on paper, it contributed to the breakdown of the traditional family structures. And many young black men were pushed out of the communities. And it led to multi-generational cycles of poverty, incarceration, and confusion about identity and masculinity because there wasn't no daddies in the house. So by the 21st century, here we are. The black community is faced with dramatic decline, marriage rates plummeted, fatherhood decreased, and incarceration rate has soared. Now, historically, black Americans have built thriving communities from Cali to New York, Georgia to Seattle. We own hotels, restaurants, schools. We even pioneered industries like automotive and transportation. Black entrepreneurs like Madam C.J. Walker. The woman built the whole cosmetic empire in the early 1900s. Then you have people like Garrett Morgan, the inventor of the traffic light. The man exemplified black innovation. Yet many of these successes were targeted through deliberate efforts to foster jealousy, racial resentment because the white folks were jealous. And so what did it do? It led to destruction and suppression and black wealth. They did the same thing in Los Angeles. They did that to the successful black people. They purposely targeted. And so now that same dynamic is happening to Latinos. As your communities grow stronger economically and politically, you're building businesses and owning homes and gaining influence, you're going to face that similar jealousy and opposition that we had to deal with. This is not accidental. It's part of a long-standing pattern rooted in racial jealousy, fear of losing dominance, and efforts by powerful interests to maintain control. You didn't know that? All the Latinos watching this should donate to me because I know none of your leaders are teaching you this. I know they're not because I hear you. Y'all just on the internet complaining. But see, understanding our history is crucial, but you're too selfish to do that. See, it's not just about numbers. You could be 65 million or 650 million. It's about a cycle of envy and sabotage and systematic barriers designed to keep your brown behinds marginalized in communities beneath the white ruling class. Recognize these patterns can help you see the bigger picture and work toward true equality and justice. And had you not been practicing that anti-black racism that y'all been practicing, maybe one of us would have told you. But, since you want to be like that, it's going to be like that. Nevertheless, throughout American history, many black entrepreneurs and community leaders and business owners in the South and across the country, we built thriving enterprises. And it challenged the economic dominance of white supremacists who felt that they were better than us. See, these black business people, whether they own a grocery store or a barbershop or a restaurant or some other small business, they were getting targeted precisely because they posed a threat to the financial interests of the white folks in the town next door. You understand? Many of the black people who were lynched during the lynching era were business competitors of white folk. Y'all ain't figured that out yet? You want to know why they going after Puffy? Because Puffy's a rich black man. Same reason they went after Bill Clinton. Bill Cosby. Same reason they going after tried to go after Sean Carter, Jay-Z. This is it. You didn't figure this out. They went after Oprah. This is it. See, the white supremacist system is about economics, if nothing else. And it's long been rooted in controlling not just political power, but economic resources. When black communities started to grow economically, owning land, operating businesses, creating wealth, they threatened to establish racial hierarchy. You understand? And this led to violent pushback, often under the guise of racial violence or intimidation. For example, and I spoke about this earlier, you had in the 20th century all these black entrepreneurs in the South, they faced all this hostility. Whether we talking about Red Summer in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Chicago, Greenwood District in Black Wall Street, these white folk were jealous. In the 1930s and 40s, you had black business owners in the South, places like Atlanta, Georgia, Birmingham, Alabama. They faced economic sabotage and intimidation and violence whenever they expanded or threatened white business interests. And many black grocery store owners, like those in the segregated neighborhoods, competed directly with these white-owned stores. And because those black folks challenged the economic status quo, they became targets for harassment, arson, and even unalivement. Look at Henry Hank Aaron. In the 1950s, he was just a small grocery store owner in Mobile, Alabama. He was known for his community service. But the threat from white competitors and racism was constant. And it was many black business owners who faced the same similar threats. They were unalive for their economic independence and their ingenuity, the American dream.
Mama, that go that man. Mama, that go that man. Yeah. Mama, that go that man. Mama, that go that man.